Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mad Scientist Brewing Beer Education Series. This week, in honor of Independence Day, we are taking a look at the broad variety of American beer styles. And today I am going to be drinking, I've got a can here as well, Yuengling Lager, which is the oldest brewery still left in America. Ironically enough, this beer actually does not fall, as far as the BJCP is concerned, under any American beer styles. You can see here, it's quite an amber color, so it is too dark to be an American lager, but it is not hoppy enough to be an American amber ale. So it would actually be, under those guidelines, classified as an international amber lager, which doesn't really, seem fitting, but I'm going to enjoy it nonetheless and talk about some American beer styles today. So cheers. All right, so American beer styles are numerous and diverse. Many brewers put a strong focus on brewing to style, while others are more fluid and brew new and innovative things, which have sometimes evolved into totally new styles. Many American styles are inspired by European styles, particularly English ales and German lagers, which were reproduced by immigrants and later by Americans seeking to reproduce flavors that they couldn't find readily amongst the mass market pale lagers of the time. When compared to their European counterparts, American beers are generally stronger, with a higher alcohol, and also with more bitterness or hop flavor character that come with American hops, such as flavors like pine, citrus, and resin. They also use a cleaner yeast that are more neutral, rather than fruity British ale yeasts or estery and phenolic Belgian yeasts. All right, so the first category of American beers to cover are the American pale lagers. The first of these is the American Light Lager, which is the mass-produced light and refreshing beer that doesn't really have a lot of flavor or aroma, but is really nice if you're just doing yard work and just want to crush some beers. They use corn or rice adjuncts usually to help promote alcohol content while keeping a very light body. Some examples of this are Bud Light, Miller Lite, and Coors Light. Next is the American Lager, which is similar to the light lager, but with higher alcohol and more flavor. These include Budweiser, Coors Banquet, and Pabst Blue Ribbon. All right, next are the American Pale Ales, which first is the American Wheat Beer, which is balanced with a sweet, bready wheat flavor that lacks the clove and banana flavor of German wheat beer. It is more highly hopped than European versions of wheat beers, with a citrus and floral hop flavor. Some examples are Bell's Oberon, Three Floyd's Gumball Head, and 312 Urban Wheat. Next is the American Blonde Ale, which is light-bodied and usually all-malt beer, often made to replace American lagers. Some examples of this are Kona Big Wave Golden Ale, Victory Summer Love, and our own Bath Ale Works Pond Island Light. Next up is the American Pale Ale, which is one of the most popular styles and really one of the biggest styles seen in craft brewing industry. So this is an American version of the English style pale ale that has higher alcohol and more citrus and piney American hop flavor, largely in part to dry hopping. It is not as hop forward as American IPAs are, though. Some examples of this are Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, Stone Pale Ale 2.0, and Deschutes Mirror Pond Pale Ale. The next is the American Amber Ale, which is a variation of the American Pale Ale, but is more balanced with more prominent malt flavors and a fuller, sweeter caramel flavor and darker color. Some examples are North Coast Red Seal Ale, Bell's Amber Ale, and Full Sail Amber. Next, this group is arguably the most popular style in the US and maybe the world, well, not the world, definitely the US though, are the American IPAs. The first of which is the American IPA. This is a strong, bitter, hoppy ale with more alcohol and hop character than the English IPA. It's very hop forward with citrus, pine, dank, and tropical fruit aroma and flavor. And the West Coast version of this typically has a more prominent bitterness. Some examples are Maine Beer Company Lunch, Bell's Two Hearted Ale, and Russian River Blind Pig IPA. Next is the American Double IPA, which is a stronger version of the American IPA with huge but not harsh hop character that is very drinkable despite the high gravity. Some examples are Russian River Pliny the Elder, Stone Ruination Double IPA 2.0, and Maine Beer Company Second Dinner. Next is the Hazy IPA, also called the New England IPA. It's a very new style that focuses more on hop aroma than bitterness, with intense juicy flavor and a hazy appearance. Currently a very popular style. Some examples are Treehouse Julius, Trillium Congress Street, and Hill Farmstead Susan. The next grouping are American Specialty IPAs. These are an amalgamation of other beer styles that feature IPA hop, bittering, and flavor character. So these include the Black IPA, which is mixed with porter or stout, the White IPA, which is mixed with, crossed with Belgian white. None of these are actually blended together. They're brewed as the base style, but with the hopping of an IPA. The Red IPA, which is brewed with an amber or rye ale base. The Brown IPA, which is closely matched to a brown ale. And the Belgian IPA, which is matched to a Belgian triple. There's always room for more of these kind of IPA hybrids, but those are the main ones that are readily seen. Next up are the American dark ales. The first of which is the American brown ale. This was invented by homebrewers to adapt to the English brown ale here in the US using American ingredients. It is hoppy and brown, similar to an American pale ale, but more balanced towards malt. Some examples are Big Sky Moose Drool Brown Ale, Brooklyn Brown Ale, and Smutty Nose Old Dog Brown Ale. Next is the American Porter. There's a broad interpretation of this style that can range anywhere from a mild character that's closer to the English porter, or more assertive with hoppiness and roast flavor. The combination of high hopping and roastiness also leads to a very dry finish in this beer. Some examples are Anchor Porter, Bell's Porter, and Great Lakes Edmund Fitzgerald Porter. Next is the American Stout, which is hoppy, bitter, and very roasty, using roasted barley like a dry Irish stout. This typically has citrusy or resiny aroma from American hops and a big roasty malt flavor like coffee or bittersweet chocolate. Some examples are Bell's Kalamazoo Stout, Deschutes Obsidian Stout, and Trillium Secret Stairs. The last in this group is the Imperial Stout, which I covered in a recent video. This is based on the historic English high-gravity stouts that were exported to the Baltic region. And it is one with a big, intense, dark ale and roasty, burnt malt profile with some dried dark fruit flavor. The hop flavor can be moderate to assertive in this, and there's typically a warming sense of alcohol on the swallow. Some examples are North Coast Old Rasputin Imperial Stout, Sierra Nevada Narwhal Imperial Stout, and Great Divide Yeti Imperial Stout. Next is the American Strong Ales, which is really just American barley wine, which is similar to English barley wine, but with more highly hopped and typical American hop flavors and aromas. It's balanced with caramel and bready maltiness and a moderate amount of fruity esters and warming alcohol. Some examples are Anchor Old Foghorn, Sierra Nevada Bigfoot, and Sebago Brewing barley wine. The last group are some historic American beer styles, which all have originated here in the United States and America, but are not readily seen very much, if at all, anymore since Prohibition. So the first is cream ale. This is American ale brewers' attempt to compete with lagers and uses corn in the process. The style largely disappeared after Prohibition, but has seen some modern revivals that are not necessarily brewed traditionally. Some examples are Genesee Cream Ale, Sun King Sunlight Cream Ale, and Kiwanda Pre-Prohibition Cream Ale. The next is California Common. This originated around San Francisco. It's an ale that's fermented with lager yeast at warmer temperatures, and is fairly unique for using woody and minty Northern Brewer hop varietal. It's also known as steam beer, but Anchor Brewing Company owns the trademark to that name, so they're the only ones that get to use it. So the example, if you're going to find this, most likely is going to be Anchor Steam Beer. However, they changed their distribution recently, so they are not really going to distribute beer much outside of San Francisco area. So if you can find some while you can, grab it, because you may not be able to for much longer. Another style is Kentucky Common. This was brewed around Louisville, Kentucky after the Civil War and until Prohibition. and it was something like a dark version of a cream ale that was featuring malty sweetness and high carbonation, but very, very rare to find these days, if at all. And lastly, you have pre-Prohibition lager and pre-Prohibition porter. So both of these styles are, similar character to the modern American lager and porter, but before Prohibition they were much stronger and had more flavor than the current iterations prior to Prohibition. After that, the whole industry kind of fell off. People were desiring kind of more, I don't want to say bland, but yeah, bland flavors. So breweries followed suit and took a lot of the flavor from the hops and even some of the malt away from these styles. But some brewers have revived the original versions in their interpretations of these. All right, that's quite a mouthful, and this video is getting pretty long, so I'm going to leave it at that and continue enjoying my beer. For all of those who are celebrating, Happy Independence Day, even though by the time this video airs, that will have passed. So hope you enjoyed that and got to sample some nice American beers. Or if not, around here, get to try some American beers anyway, because of all the styles I just named, there are definitely some excellent ones in there that are worth trying. So hope you can have some of those, and until next time, cheers.